Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, as told by Hadia. I'm going to be reviewing Season 5, Episode 9 of Real Housewives of Potomac. Oh my God, I was so just like my jaw was open the entire first 5 to 10 minutes of this episode. I was appalled. I was honestly appalled, and it was sad because to see Candiace and Monique relationship deteriorate the way that it did was extremely disappointing. And I want to get into my thoughts on who I think was the bigger more to blame for it, basically. But I wanted to start off by saying a couple of things. Monique has been doing a lot of damage control, and this is how you know someone did something wrong and their image is gonna look terrible, because she does a lot of lives, but what she did with those lives was actually put her foot in her mouth. The way that Monique attacked Candiace, the only way I can think of you attacking Candiace in that way is if it was about the rumor. You said yourself in one of your more recent lives that it had nothing to do with the rumor. It had something to do with something else. Now, let's get to the rumor. I went back and watched one of her lives. I think she did maybe a month and a half ago, where she was with her husband, Chris, and she was talking about the rumor. She was basically saying, what happened with it, why she felt the way that she did, etc. I was wondering where Candiace was at fault with this. So from what I got from that live was she said that Candiace, Giselle, Robin, a couple other people, they were at a dinner. And the dinner, there were things that they were discussing. I don't think it was a plot against Monique. These people are on a TV show. They're professional and they're on a TV show. I'm sure Candiace and Monique and Chris and all these other people have had conversations where they talked about a castmate and what may have been planned or would come up this season, or what they may have been thinking about doing this season. I'm sure that's a normal conversation for people on this show. For example, how you thought that you were icing out Candiace with Giselle and Robin and Ashley Monique. I'm sure it was the same thing where they were just all having a conversation and that topic happened to come up and Giselle was saying what she wanted to do with it. Supposedly, once again, this comment, this is from 2 years ago. So supposedly, at the season 4 reunion, Giselle was supposed to bring it up and basically say that Monique's youngest son was not Chris's. Season 4 reunion, who were you coming at? Candiace, huh? She said that basically, I guess Candiace had told Karen what happened at the dinner. And then Karen had told Monique, you put your foot in your mouth. Because why would you think, first and foremost, Candiace told Karen because she know Karen was cool with you and that Karen would let you know and give you a heads up. Still a courtesy to you, even though you treated her like shit during season 4. And on top of that, you even said, oh yeah, well, we wasn't really talking and we weren't cool. And the only time we talked is if I called her. Okay, so y'all weren't friends at that time. So why does she owe you all this loyalty? Even then, she still told Karen so that she could give you a heads up. Okay. So you knew season 4 at the reunion, which Giselle was supposedly going to plot to do. You still had the most beef with Candiace. After that, you went to a baby shower, Ashley's baby shower, I believe. And even when Ashley and Candiace was talking, you took pictures with Charisse and all these people as if everything was fine. Why would I be doing that if I know that they did this rumor. No one was forcing you to do that, Monique. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. And even on social media, Ashley is cool with Charisse. Giselle is cool with Charisse. Robin is cool with Charisse. They all knew what the rumor was. They all knew. You said, oh, I respect Ashley and Michael because they refused to say it on camera, and when asked about it, they didn't say anything. Well, I'm going to need to see where Candiace brought it up on camera or was spreading it supposedly around for you to be so angry. Because for me, it seems like Charisse is desperate to be back on the show. She has a vendetta against you, or maybe there's some bad blood between you two. And she's messy. And so she was hoping to spread a rumor. And Giselle being on the show and being messy, and I think Giselle is a bit envious of Monique's lifestyle. Giselle being Giselle wanted to bring that nasty ass rumor up. But instead of giving your smoke to the right people, you gave your smoke to Candiace, who, if anything, I don't deal with you, but I still gave you, either through Karen, who I knew wouldn't go back and tell anything, or whatever the case may be, I still gave you a heads up of what they were talking about. And mind you, this is after season 4, where you took up for Ashley against me, the same Ashley who painted you out to be a drunk. You showed my private text messages to that same person. Like, you did all of this stuff to me when it had nothing to do, and you threatened to drag me when you were pregnant over stuff that had nothing to do with you. And I still gave Karen the heads up to let you know they're plotting, or they're saying, or Giselle is saying that she wants to bring that up. So you wanted to flip it and make it seem like all these people were plotting you. Then what were you doing with Giselle, Robin, and Ashley in the beginning of this season trying to ice Candiace out? What was that not plotting? Or is it plotting when it's against you? So once again, let's stop bringing up the rumor. That had nothing to do with it, from what she says. And on top of that, if it was about the rumor, she should have the most smoke with other people, not with Candiace. So I wanted to get that out the way, because I was seeing that and I'm just like, come on. So it starts off, and here's what I saw from the fight. And man, it was clear. They didn't cut anything off. It was straight to the point. Like, I think they did a good job of letting us see it, because I think that we needed to see it. Because you can tell that a lot of these people, Monique is a fan favorite, and a lot of people take up for her, and a lot of fake stories was going around. And so I am actually truly glad that they showed what really happened, because you can't deny it. You can't fake it. You can't say it was edited. That is how it happened. So Candiace is saying, you gonna drag me? You want to drag me? Monique starts saying, you want to be dragged? You want to be dragged? And she starts to flick Candiace's hair. Then it was one point, if you notice, first and foremost, Candiace never actually touched Monique. I remember last episode, a lot of people, including myself, was like, there was like a light hand. I believe that was Giselle who actually pushed Monique back a little bit. Candiace never got to her to touch her. Candiace is little as hell, and she couldn't even reach fully over that table to touch her like that. But she didn't even get a chance to touch her. But Giselle did. I believe it was Giselle's hand. It might have been Robin, but I believe it was Giselle, and pushed her back some. And it was doing that to make sure that, like, hey, stop. She already had Candiace's hair in her hand, slightly pulling it. When she got that push from Giselle, I assumed she equated that with Candiace, and she was like, let's go. And what you saw was she had a death grip on Candiace's hair. Like, I've never seen somebody have that tight of a grip on someone's hair. And kudos to Candiace and her wig and whatever glue that she used, because baby, that wig was not coming off. But she had a death grip on Candiace's hair. And she basically, I saw her punch Candiace or maybe slap her head like 2 or 3 times. While Candiace, Candiace is so small and the table was right there. She was kind of falling all over the table and stuff. Candiace had still, before her hair was grabbed and everything, Candiace was holding her drink in her hand. You gonna drag me, sis? You gonna drag me? So what happened was, when she got pulled, her drink flew into Monique's face. Like the wine actually flew into Monique's face. So wine did get on Monique's face, but it wasn't because Candiace just threw the drink in her face. It was because Monique had dragged her across the table pretty much. And it got into her face. And then Candiace, I don't think she had use of her other hand, or she was trying to hold Monique to get off her hair. Baby, let me tell you, Candiace, I honestly think, and here's the thing, I'll get into it more, but Candiace was trying to hit her with that glass. With that one open hand, Candiace was trying it. And I was surprised, but I was also happy, because I'm like, at this point, girl, anything you do to this girl after what she just did, I can't say nothing about it. Then, like, Monique did not want to let it go. I'm glad Wendy was there. I'm glad Karen was there. Karen was kind of the voice of reason. Wendy really had Candiace's back as well. Like, stop trying to really get them away and get them off of them and all that stuff. And so I was happy to see that. Now, when Monique gets pulled to the back by a producer, she's talking back there. She's just like, when you keep talking, you wanted someone to hit you. Basically, it's like, I have no remorse. I'd do it again. Candiace is there calling her ghetto and all this stuff, and hood rat and all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay. I didn't really agree with her being called a hood rat. At the end of the day, y'all both was arguing back and forth, but she did take it a step further, getting physical. But let's stop with the idea of someone being a hood rat or ghetto, or, I just don't like that sort of language sometimes, especially because I feel like it only describes Black women. And so, yeah, I didn't really like that, but I also didn't like Monique's attitude about it. Karen, I loved Karen in these moments, because you can tell how much love she has for the both of them. She checked on Candiace first, made sure Candiace was okay, and then she said, I'm gonna go check on my friend Monique. And she checked the hell out of Giselle and Robin. She was like, well, Giselle wasn't really saying nothing, but Robin, she was like, oh, we're not gonna do that, where we like throw Monique under the bus. And I was actually happy with that. Even though I think Monique was mostly to blame, you could just tell that Giselle and Robin, this was like their birthday, Christmas, and a fucking anniversary wrapped in one. Because they were so happy that they had this over Monique, and that they got Monique to show her true colors. You could tell they was trying not to smile, but I bet you if that camera wasn't on, they were smiling like the damn Cheshire cat. And this is just the truth. I know they were happy that they got Monique to that point. Not saying that they wanted her to get physical, but hey, let's just help the case to be like, Monique ain't shit and we don't want her on the show, basically. That's honestly what I feel. So first and foremost, Monique out of control. It's like, okay, y'all had your little tiff. You just was taking it a step further. She ran out of the back down the steps trying to get to her when they had Candiace go in the car to go home. Monique, you made yourself look bad. No wonder you were doing so much press control and shit. Because there's a difference between, I lost my composure, I was upset in the moment, to I am trying to cause physical, bodily harm. She was trying to hurt Candiace. And it was just disgusting to see. Like, you're sitting there like a mad woman running around outside trying to get to a car, Monique. Come on, Monique. Like, seriously. And Then when she goes back inside, so now at this time, Candiace is in the car leaving. When she goes back inside, it's just like, Ashley come out, what's happening? Slightly smiling. Ashley, you knew what was happening because, like Kara said, this was not the time to bring this up. What I would have done is if Ashley and Candiace and Ashley, Giselle, and Robin really cared about you and wanted a relationship with you and were your friends, they would have tried to get you and Candiace together in another way. I'm not going to get y'all together when we all drinking and standing up. That don't make no sense to me. Maybe I would have got us all together for a dinner or said we were all going to dinner and had it just be Monique and Candiace there and kind of had them have a conversation or had a sister get together at Karen house or something since they both like Karen and had a conversation be had and kind of forced it in a friendly way. If they were really your friends. But having Ashley bring it up and then conveniently she walks away and then she comes back, what's going on? You could tell that she was like happy that happened to Candiace. Like she didn't give a shit. She went over there to Monique who I can fight a trick who thinks she grown. First and foremost, I really hate what people say about Candiace. All this behavior on all of these housewife shows, not just Real Housewives of Potomac, it's childish as fuck. We watch it because we want to see these grown-ass professional women look beautiful. We want to see their professional lives. We want to see what they do. They're in their lifestyle. And on top of that, we like to see some pettiness. It's okay. We like to see pettiness. We like to see arguing. We like to see it. Maybe not to an extreme scale, but it's okay. We like to see it because that's how normal life is. You get into arguments with people. It's just different on the show because you may not know these people or care for some of the people on the show, and you still have to be around them because that's your job and y'all getting paid for it. But the way, it's like Candiace is grown. Stop saying if her behavior is childish, then your behavior is childish. Y'all all act the same. This idea that she's somehow spoiled and childish is really ridiculous to me. And at the end of the day, there was a lot of conversation about being black and what it meant for this episode and being a black woman. Let's be real here. There are plenty. I went to a school, Allegheny College. It's right outside of Pittsburgh, like 2 hours from Pittsburgh, 45 minutes from Erie, PA. I went to school with people whose parents had money. I came from a very poor background. My mother did not have a lot of money. I went to school with people whose parents were CEOs. They were driving Porsche and Ferraris. I'm not kidding you. I went to school with people whose parents had hella money. And they benefited from that. It didn't even matter if they went to school or not because they could network and they had the network of their parents. And so whether they went to school or not, I was a geology major and I had people who was in the same major as me. And they were just like, oh, yeah, my parent wants me to, get a job. I asked one girl, and she said she was going to graduate, and then she wanted to be, on Disney or something, and then be a nanny, and then be a mother. Her dad had donated $1 million to the school. I went to school with people like that. And so I partially think, you rarely see at least promoted black people who come from wealth and how that can benefit them. That generational wealth that we all talk about wanting to build, Candiace seems to come from that. And for some reason, it's like they hold it against her. Okay, her mom chooses to help her buy a house or something like that. Why not? Why not? If you're a black person and you make it to that point where you can help your children, why not? Do you know how expensive it is for school day and trying to buy a home? Me and my boyfriend is looking and starting the process of trying to buy a home. What is wrong with her mother helping her? I wish my mother had the ability to be able to help me. That would be very helpful. And so sometimes I feel like they call Candiace childish and mature because it's partially a dig because she grew up with money and they all had to sleep in it. They all had to sleep their way into it. Don't blame her, because y'all the same people. Y'all want to create that wealth for y'all children. If y'all have the ability to buy y'all children a house, wouldn't you? Giselle and them just bought their daughters a restaurant. That's an investment. Y'all trying to create generational wealth. Candiace can be the product of that. She still did her own stuff. She is still successful in her own right. But like, I think that that's like something that they hold against her. And that's why they always say childish and stuff. Anyway, Monique, you talking about killing her, don't bring her around me, and then saying, oh, I blacked out. And then you have Ashley sitting there like, oh, okay, she mocked you, she made you feel that way. Like, Ashley, oh my God, just annoying. Like I said, I appreciate Karen for supporting both Monique and Candiace. Here's how I feel about the fight. I feel like on the one hand, there's us as people. You can say as people, you can say in general, in our adult, normal, professional lives, I look down at that. That was disgusting. That was deplorable. Seeing somebody, I don't really like to see fights. Seeing somebody trying to bash somebody head in, that's not something I like to see. It's not. As an adult, as a mature adult, that is not the way you handle yourself. Monique made herself look crazy. It was ridiculous. And so I think that you see that side, and it's okay to say that. We don't necessarily watch these shows to see people fight, So I think you have that side of it where it's like, we're all adult, we're all mature, we're professional. We don't want to see that. And so partially, I understood what Wendy and other people were saying, like, as Black women, or Black people in general, but specifically Black women, there is that stereotype and that stigma around us where it's like, oh, of course the Black women are going to be loud. Of course the Black women are going to be fighting. Of course this, that. And even Candiace said, I don't want to be seen as ghetto and all that. But y'all have to understand, regardless of if it was y'all were being actually quote unquote ghetto or not, if y'all had raised your voice, people would still think that y'all are Black, y'all are beautiful, y'all have success in your lives, and y'all live a certain lifestyle. Y'all are judged the same as us regular people who don't have all of that. So it doesn't matter if they have really fought or they didn't. People are still going to judge y'all. They're going to judge you differently just because you are Black. And I'm not going to sit there and say y'all have to be the role models for all Black people. But on the flip side of that, there is a certain importance in the images that are portrayed about us. We all talk about them and we all think that. I think, what's her name? Monique might even have like a book series or something. We all talk about that. Images are important. You don't want to see us on TV, in books, all this fighting, showing our asses, basically feeding on that stereotype. So it is important, and I understood where they were coming from. But also on the flip side of that, it don't matter what you do, you're going to be seen as that anyway. It's been so embedded in the culture of white ideology and white supremacy. It doesn't matter what you do, you'll always be seen as that. And then it also goes to the neighborhood you come from and the rules of it. People like to say the hood. I feel like it has a negative connotation to Black people. Even though the hood should just be the neighborhood, I think that we know what people are referring to when they say hood. But let's go to those politics. You can't walk up to everybody and run that mouth and think that you're not going to get, that they're just going to run their mouth back or it's going to be chilling. You might get some people who will read you right back and they be good. You got some people who don't want to talk. They ready to fight. So in that nature, you can't sit here. Candiace was trying to say, hey, I talk shit, but I don't fight. Well, sometimes you meet the right person who does fight. And they're not going to put up with you talking shit. And so in that aspect, I'm not surprised that Monique reacted the way that she did. But does that make it right? Absolutely not. And also another thing of hood politics, Monique don't get no shoulder up, because let's be real, Candiace's little small self, even though I'm not saying there's anything wrong, because like I said, Candiace was low-key messing her up with that cup. And Candiace was low-key when that glass was out her hand, about to throw that and hit her in her face. The problem was, Monique, if you was really so big and bad and tough and from the hood, let's be real here. All that pulling hair shit, we don't do. You could have squared up with her. Came around the table and squared up with her. You didn't give her no chance to fight you. You literally were holding her head down, her little short self. She couldn't see. She couldn't get up. And then you started beating the top of her head. You didn't even lift her head up so she could see you and beat her face. No, you were beating the top of her head, the back of her head, because you were holding her down. You don't get no brownie points. You get absolutely none. At the end of the day, it came across kind of like a bully. You don't get no brownie points. So if we're talking about hood politics, quote unquote, you still weak. Because at the end of the day, you could have came across that table and you could have said, square up because you talking too much, and hit her. You didn't do that. You went for, a lot of times people from my neighborhood say, bitch move. Grab my hair, I can't see, and you trying to hit me. Because best believe, say what you want, Candiace was throwing after that glass got out of her hand, she was trying to throw it. But you bigger than her. But let you have squared up with her, I think that Candiace would have got a lot more hits in. So she don't get no A-OK from the hood politics. But nonetheless, you just made yourself look like a clown. It was appalling and ridiculous. It really, really was. And then you couldn't even control yourself after the fact. Just disappointed, because I like both Candiace and Monique. Well, I used to like Monique. I don't like Monique anymore. Do they both need to take responsibility? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, they both were egging each other on. However, that first physical contact came from Monique. The second physical contact came from Monique. The continuation of it came from Monique. So her saying egging on, the only way I would consider what people were saying, where it's like, to me, if the roles was reversed and Candiace was picking on Monique and there was nothing back, and then Candiace, touched Monique or something, that's the only way I could understand it. Because some of these people who were commenting, like, just say that you love Monique and you don't care. Because it was literally like so damn biased and ridiculous what I was reading from people. And in today's climate, let's stop acting like that's okay. Because had it been something of someone of another race, had it been something of that nature, oh, absolutely not. Everybody would be calling for that person to be fired, whatever. But because it was Monique, it was just like, no. I mean, I like them. I used to like Monique. I actually like them both. They were my favorites with Cameron on the show. But I can't rock with this. This was too much. And I think what made it worse is that she doesn't even regret what she did. Now, I'm glad she's honest about not regretting it. But come on. You were out of control. So I found it interesting how they had two different scenes with Candiace and her husband and Monique. Well, it might have been one scene, but whatever the case may be. They had the original, there was two scenes. So the original scene, let me start with Chris's husband. I absolutely love Candiace's husband, Chris. We'll say White Chris because both of their husbands is named Chris. I absolutely love him. I think that he is so supportive and mature, and it's so nice to see him be level-headed with Candiace. Monique, the reason you also made yourself look really, really bad is because Candiace, you could tell when she got in that car and she was talking to her husband, she was hurt. because she really thought we were friends. We're going through a bad time. We can get it back together. I love Monique. And from seeing this season, she did absolutely nothing to Monique. But she really loved Monique. And this is like serious. You could see it. And she was crying while Monique was still showing her ass back there. Monique gets in the car. Oh, I fought Candiace. Yada, yada, yada. She kept talking. Whatever. This is what she's telling her husband. While her husband is saying, I'm disappointed. This is what Monique is telling her husband, who's also named Chris. Like, I don't give a fuck. I fought that bitch. Excuse my language, everyone. But that's basically what was said. Monique's husband. Okay, and then it also shows scenes of them being at home. Candiace was basically recuperating from the fight. You know, she was talking to Chris. She was a little less emotional this time. And she was just talking how embarrassing it was. And Chris was just like, you know, at this point, I think that it's time to wrap it up. And she agreed. Like, they don't need to be friends. They don't need to work on anything. Just leave it alone. And, you know, another thing is, if you listen, Candiace said, you know, her husband was like, do you want to go to the hospital? This could be like a concussion. And she said, no, I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't think she hit me that hard. To me, that's subconsciously a friend, because let's be real here. If she wanted to, the way that everything happened out, she could have went to the hospital and tried to press charges immediately on Monique, which she did not do. But she could have done that. Even though they did have a legal dispute in the end that was thrown out for both of them, she could absolutely have done that. And this is the honest truth. But she was like, no, I don't think I was hit that hard. I don't want to do that. This scene pissed me off. Monique is in the kitchen washing her daughter's hair. First off, I don't know if you guys noticed, but shout out to Mielle Organics. I used that same leave-in spray on my hair that I saw her on the counter using for her daughter hair right before she washed her hair, or after. But it was on the counter, the leave-in spray. I think it's the white peony leave-in spray from Mielle Organics. But y'all tell me if y'all saw something different. But I swear that was the leave-in spray. But anyway, she's doing her daughter hair. So some of the stuff she was just saying was bizarre. And I think Chris was very level-headed. And this is how I know Monique is really wrong. When your husband is really telling you you're wrong. He's like, I like Monique and Candiace. That to me says that you were batshit wrong. Because I think that he would have been ashamed about his image. But he would not have been as ashamed of like you fighting, say, a Giselle or somebody, because he know how he is. He know that Candiace, you should not have been giving that smoke to Candiace. And I think that made him even more disappointed and upset about it. And that's how you know Monique was actually wrong, because not just from him being like, it's embarrassing, but him not even supporting you in the fact that it was Candiace. And that he knew that the relationship that y'all had, that you claimed was so fake. Okay, Monique, your husband saw it and it wasn't right. So then she's saying, talking about Candiace. Monique is saying she talks crazy to everyone. Her mom should have popped her a long time ago. Once again, this idea of putting her in a childlike state. Well, if you really felt that that Candiace was a child, then what were you? Because your behavior was worse than her. So what were you? That's it. Then she said she knew they had issues, but and she wants nothing to do with her. And then she claims that Candiace is crazy. Really, Monique? Now watching this, and I hope you watched yourself, because you were saying that Candiace is crazy. You look like the crazy one. You couldn't even control yourself. That's how bad it was. You were chasing, or pretty much trying to catch up with a car, Monique. At your age. In your position. But Candiace is crazy. Then something she said tells me that all of this for her was premeditated, because she said this is a long time coming. Candiace had mentioned on what was it? I think it was Watch What Happened Live. She said, it didn't matter if it was this time or another time. Monique was poking at me. She kept trying to get me there. And she is correct. Ever since she said she'd drag her, Monique said, I'll drag you when she was pregnant. Monique has been wanting to drag Candiace because she wants to take all her anger, frustration, everything out on Candiace. Because like we said last episode, like I said on my last review, Candiace is the easy fruit. She's the low-hanging fruit. It's easy to comfort her. She doesn't have that many allies. She's not the fan favorite right now. She's the early seasons Portia from Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's fine to comfort her. And so you proved to me that this was premeditated for you to do this. And so you get no sympathy from me. If it didn't happen in that moment, the next episode it would have happened. This season would have ended with them fighting because Monique was going to make sure of it. That's what I took from it. Also, I found it interesting that she was saying how, she does this with everybody and all this stuff. Last season, when Candiace was acting, crazy, doing too much, trying to be messy with Ashley, and we all was looking at Candiace like, you doing a bit much. Like, you're sitting there saying, you're taking on problems because of how Ashley treated other people. So what you mean how she treated other people? Why would that have anything to do with anything? What does that have to do with you wanting to fight her? You see, it doesn't make sense. And that's something that both Candiace and her Chris was talking about. It doesn't make sense. This was just very unfortunate because they really could have sat down and had a conversation. But I do think that this was planned between Gizelle, Robin, and Ashley. I don't think Ashley is innocent either. And I don't know why Monique wants to be so in with the group like that. And it wasn't just cool with being cool with Karen and Candiace and having their own little clique. Like, I don't know why she wants to be in with them. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that all of these people knew about this rumor and the shit that this girl was supposedly spreading. And they all cool with her, taking pictures with her, inviting her places. And I only got a problem with Candiace. But I'm buddy, kiss and hug me with all these people. Bye. Damn, I think this is going to be super long. I'm going to try to rush through the other stuff, but I just had a lot to get out about that. Karen and Ray. So the Gizelle scenes and the Karen scenes were kind of like, it had the scene where Karen cooked dinner with the chef for her husband. It had a scene with Gizelle having dinner with like her father and her daughters. And then it went back to Karen and Ray at therapy. And then it went back to Gizelle in the opening of the restaurant. So yeah, it just showed a scene where Karen and Ray were eating, the dinner that the private chef had cooked. And I like that scene because I like to see scenes with Karen and Ray. I feel like Ray doesn't really want to be on TV like that, so he kind of stays away. But I like to see scenes like that. The therapy. So I was glad that they were both very open and honest. And what I took from that is, they've been married, I think, for 23 years. And Karen says that basically the passion is gone. That stuff that gives you the butterflies, is gone. She still loves Ray. She's still in love with Ray. But that dating, some people love to do that. That dating sort of stage where everything is new and fresh and exciting, it's gone. And she wants that passion back. And that's her biggest issue. In their relationship right now. Ray, to me, he wants more time. He wants her to cook more like she used to when the kids was there, which was funny because, my mother, she used to cook every single day when we were children, and now she barely cooks. She's like, I used to cook when the kids was here, but I'm barely going to cook. And that's like kind of the Karen situation, so I found that to be really funny. And I think maybe that's a real thing where a lot of women, they'll cook so much when the kids are in the home, and then afterwards maybe they do stop. But to that person that you're with, maybe that's how you show love to them, and they really appreciate that. And I think that's what Ray was saying, and I don't think that she knew that. And so it was good that he got that out. To an extent, though, I feel like he was always the successful one bringing them money, and Karen was always the one in the home. Now Karen is the grand dame. Karen is everything, and she's building her brand. It's like a similar thing with Monique, and she's building her brand, and she wants to do more now. Even at her age, she's building her brand. She has her fragrance. She could go out into different stuff, and Karen is a fan favorite. And so I just kind of feel like him saying that he wanted more time did a little bit seem selfish, because it's like, how many times did Karen probably want more time when you were doing what you were your career, and how she probably took the back seat. And now it just seemed like, now that she wants to have those moments, I feel like you could be a tad bit more supportive of her, and you could be in on helping to make the time. Like, something I hate is when people say, make time. You should, maybe you say, Karen, hey, I hired a chef and he's going to teach us how to cook, because I know you're home by dinner time, I'm home by dinner time. That's something. We're going to go away for 2 days. No phones, no business, no nothing. That's something. Yeah, we may be busy. Maybe we both work and everything, but we're both putting that energy and effort into it. To me, he put a lot of the blame on Karen, because she used to be there to do all that, and now she's working and doing her own thing. But the biggest thing was, are you in love? She said, I love Ray. I'm in love with him. You couldn't tell Karen nothing. She loves Ray. He said he does not think he's in love with her. And something that I found interesting, if you listen, he said it doesn't feel the same as it did 20 years ago. That took me back. I do think you can fall out of love with someone. I've fallen out of love with my boyfriend. I'll save that for another day. If anyone ever wants to ask me about relationships or anything like that, like, I will give my relationship story. But you can fall out of love with people. You can still have a lot of love for them, care for them, know that you can see your future with them and want to be with them, but you can't fall out of love with people. But damn, you said it doesn't feel the same as 20 years ago? Y'all only been together for like 23 years. What does that mean? Does that mean you've been hiding your emotions this long? I understood why Karen went upstairs and cried in her closet. And I felt so bad for her, because it was like, you gave him your best years. And now you telling me I took it as you haven't fully been in love with me for 20 years. So what the fuck was I doing while you weren't completely in love with me? And you didn't tell me. And that makes it worse, because there's nothing that can be done about it if I don't know. And so he didn't view it as being bad, but it sounded really bad for me. And I felt for Karen. And I think women, I'm only 24, but I have 4 older sisters. My eldest sister passed, rest in peace, but I still have my other 3 elder sisters. And I think that women, truly devote and gives themselves to men. And listen, when a woman gives birth, they are between life and death. That is one time that a woman willingly puts herself 1 foot in the grave. That is something to be celebrated. That is something, a woman will give her life, her soul, her essence to a man. And sometimes get shitted on or nothing in return. And although she benefited from that lifestyle with Ray, to hear him say that, I would be like, I gave you my life. And you're just now telling me this? I think they'll work it out. I think that if they spend more time together and they make that time out for themselves, they'll work it out. But that was something very, very hard to hear, and I felt bad for Karen. Giselle. Her father gave his blessing at the dinner with Giselle and her daughters. She was basically saying how she wants to give it another go with Jamal. I don't know how real I think this relationship is, but I digress. It's whatever. And he gave her his blessing, and said, basically, I want you to be happy. However, when it cut to the scene that was at the last part of the episode where Jamal came over, they had dinner at the new restaurant that they bought for their daughters. The dad pretty much said the same thing. You know, y'all do basically what y'all want to do. I'm cool with it. When he walked away and said, get this mic off me, he was like, this is like, he was going in. He had 6 to 7 baby mamas. We found out in this episode that he didn't even go to Giselle's wedding all those years ago. Because of what her husband, you know, Jamal, he was a serial cheater. He had so many babies on her. He's supposed to be a pastor. I mean, a mess. But the dad was like going off, and I understood it. And my sister is with a guy who's not the best as far as partner wise. And a lot of times she'll tell everything. And because she tells everything, that makes our family look at him like, he's not for you, all that stuff. And then when you go or you try to be with them or you try to stay with them, it's hard for us to get over it, because we were there when you were in tears. We were there when you were humiliated. We were there during all of that, and we had to build you back up, Giselle, because you were falling apart. And so I understood her dad being like, you want to know something? I can't control it, but I'm also not going to completely 100% be like, this is the best day ever. You know, so I understood her dad's frustration, and Giselle just really needs to, you know, I understand this is a show and all that stuff, but I hope they're serious about this. I hope she wouldn't play around like this. You know, with somebody like him, I just don't know. Their relationship doesn't come across as genuine. And you know it's bad when even your kids are kind of like not here for him. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, it was a scene with Ashley. She was basically saying how she was happy that no one was talking about Michael's infidelities after what happened with Monique and Candiace. She mentions a post-nuptial agreement. Michael actually agreed to it. To me, that's something that my mother said. I mention my mother a lot, but something that she said that I agree with is how women should always have their own little savings on the side, and how important that is. You know, have something for your rainy day, just in case if you need it, just in case you need to leave, whatever the case may be, so you can take care of yourself, possibly your children. That's what I see the postnuptial agreement as being. Oh, baby, I know you sorry supposedly, but I'm going to get that ass. And I'm going to have something in writing, and I'm going to stack my little coins. And then when I'm ready to leave, I'm not going to leave immediately. She's having another baby. I'm not going to leave immediately. But when I'm ready to leave, I'm going to leave and maintain my lifestyle. I'm going to leave and me and my children are going to be okay. I'm going to leave and I'm going to be able to have my happiness with or without you. That was her back pocket. That was her rainy day. That was her little money on the side. Ashley is not stupid. Ashley knows what she's doing. And so let her keep doing it. Something that Michael said was they weren't very intimate, and that's kind of why he did what he did. And at the end of the day, you can't invalidate that. Intimacy is very important in a relationship, and we require, as human beings, we have needs and wants. And although I think that he cheated, his cheating was selfish. Once again, if you want me to have a conversation about relationships and stuff like that, I may be young, but I do have a lot of sisters, and I've always given a lot of advice. Let me know. But yeah, he just said it was basically intimacy. He's selfish. That's how I viewed it. He could have talked to her about the intimacy, and they could have come to an agreement or worked something out between the two of them, and helped like things that they could do to try to be more intimate. But you don't just go and cheat. And even when he said he wasn't going to do it, Ashley was like, in Ashley's head, what I saw was, you just agreed to that post-nuptial agreement, baby. I'm cool. That's what I saw it as. Like, she didn't believe him not one bit, and neither did I. He's selfish. He's going to do what he wants to do, and she's going to have to do what she has to do whenever she decides to do it. So, yeah, this is long, but that's my review, everyone. If you have any thoughts, any differing opinions, let me know. I hope I didn't sound too biased, but at the end of the day, I'm over Monique. And it's sad because I think that her and Candiace and Cameron, they were my favorites. They were really good on the show. I think they had a perfect balance of, they could be in the midst, but they weren't, and they could be shady and everything, but they weren't miserable. They weren't in everyone's business. They weren't like that. And so they had that perfect mix of what I like for a housewife, and it's just sad that it had to come to that. So, yep, this is my review for Season 5, Episode 9 of Real Housewives for Potomac. Yeah, give me your opinions. Let me know if there's anything you think I can improve upon, and I'll catch you guys later.